Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to Roadwarden, where today we have about half of a day left and I think it is absolutely time to finally ride north. It's important to remember that we are on the clock here. So like my desire to jam as much into every day as possible is not just impatience, it's also like 38 days from now, we need to have an answer, right? We need to be ready to leave. And who knows how much more stuff we're going to learn that we need to figure out before then. So let's get to it, shall we? So the Necromancer Village, I have an archive. Archive's not what I want, my journal. Here we go. Groups and places. So the White Marshes are in the Western Bogs. This is the place where we were told there are necromancers. There's also Old Pagos, which I'd gotten the impression they were in the north. This says Western Village, but they're like close to the coast, right? And then there's Gale Rocks, which is the fishing village. Well, I to be honest with you, my primary interest is in the White Marshes because I want to see the necromancy. So let's go west. We'll just see what's what here. The path gets greener and meanders between treacherous precipices. You ride slowly, passing by birds and ibexes, but in the distance you spot circling harpies, and below you, a roaming mountain cat pursuing a mouflon. You take a sip from your water skin. The air here is a bit dry. Oof, I feel that. Let's hope that the echo of hooves won't reach any larger beasts. The path leads you down again, to a small moist valley, impenetrable for a rider. The thicket is made of thorny shrubs, tall grasses, and the weak, fallen boughs that nourish mosses and mushrooms. You examine the remnants of the path covered with greenish puddles. Without the roots and with a fresh layer of pebbles, it may still be restored. You look behind you. The road is clear, no ambushes so far, but if you hope to clear this place, it'd be better to do so soon. It'll only get denser with the passage of days. So, interesting that this is an option. Apparently there could be some kind of potion to help here. 6 hours before dusk. So we could do this at a reasonable pace, or we could really haul, and I'm assuming we pay a vitality price for this. I'm actually really curious. I kind of want to do this just because I do want to see what the price will be. Yeah, let's click this. It would not be ideal to stay another night in the city that we were just in, the name of which I've already forgotten, because it's so expensive. But if you are willing to pay for the room in the inn, it is an awful lot of stat replenishments. And we do have the money. Let's push through this. Okay, it got me absolutely, absolutely filthy. And also, interestingly, we lost nourishment. Your muscles, not used to such tiring work, grow tired quickly. I wonder if this is because of our profession, like if we had chosen the more fightery one. If this would not have cost us so much. Soon you push yourself even more from annoyance than anything, and only after you're done do you notice the torn parts on your pants and sleeves. When it comes to pushing aside the boughs, you breathe heavily, but you need only enough space to let your palfrey get through. Maybe the animals will start to roam this place again, beating the path. And then I will right-click accidentally, because my hand is twitchy. Alright, well, I'm not super happy with that. But I wanted to know what the cost would be. You reach a convenient mountain pass with crags smoothed out by centuries of rain and wind. The sun warms up both the vegetation and the beaten road, and the only beasts you spot are loud rooks glancing at you from the rocks and branches. Clearing the rock slide would take hours of work and a large group of people, while forcing Agro to climb up and down could break its legs. Yeah, let's just have a look around on foot. Just a little look around. You climb up the rocks, having plenty of spots to rest your hands. Most of them won't move even an inch. As you get closer to the small dead tree, you notice something odd among the stones. Pieces of old fabric, completely covered with mold. Most likely the remains of a tunic. I wonder if that's like, what we are to take from that is like there was someone caught here in a rock slide. Okay, nothing else to be done here. But at least we know. I may end up paying to spend another night in the inn just to recover some of our appearance. I have to talk to the tailor as well. The road north is beaten and free of litter. You notice paths between the fruit-bearing trees on your right, and soon after that, you ride alongside vast fields of broad beans, almost ready for the second harvest of the summer. Then there are the green hemp plants, taller than you are, waiting for sickle or scythe. The locals keep the beasts at a distance, I guess. Agro's hooves thump loudly on the beaten track. The green bushes, shrubs, and trees prove that the soil here is fertile, yet the plants don't overgrow the road. These crossroads must be busy at times, maybe even patrolled. In the distant west, you see the mountain peaks dividing the lowlands from the ocean. The road east leads toward the hills, behind which there are unusually tall, dark trees. There's a dense forest in the north, from which you hear the croaking of toads. The last path is already known to you. You're surrounded by 4 signposts, all of which seem to be made from the same type of wood, now covered in moss and fungi, yet the pictures and letters that cover the nailed boards are nothing alike. Interesting. I guess let's start looking at the signpost I'm most likely to go past. The western signpost has 2 planks attached to a single post, both of them nailed with rusty steel. The lower sign is divided in 2 halves. The left edge is engraved with 4 simple shapes, squares with roof-like lines hanging above them. The other edge bears 2 engraved piles, one of them made of horizontal rectangles, the other of inexact circles. The letters between these 2 piles say stone. That's weird. So like the left half is communicating that there's a town, and the right half is like a quarry, basically. The upper plank is covered with a white word, monastery, though it's divided in half. Right below it is an engraved vertical rectangle with an hourglass inside of it. What about the eastern signpost, arbitrarily? The long plank, attached with rusted iron nails, is almost empty. It bears no words, only a single picture painted with great care. It portrays a city-like gate with a watchtower to its left and right, and a couple of small conifers growing beside and partially behind the towers. The northern signpost is attached with nails made of pointy carved bone, and divided into 3 sections covered with small engravings. The part on the left has 3 large squares with roof-like lines hanging above them. No other pictures or words. The one in the middle has only 1 square, but also a simple horizontal symbol of a fish and a short word beneath. It spells salt. The image on the right has 2 roofed squares, but also 2 other images which you recognize easily, a deer and a standing barrel. Huh. And the southern signpost, covered with green, blue, and white paint. Each square has a large letter inside of it, and together they spell Howlers Dell. Both the pictures and letters are not too old. Okay, so confirmation that that is in fact just the representation of, hey, there's buildings this way. So the northern signpost is showing one of these is going to be the fishing village. One of them is gosh, I'm so bad at remembering the names. One of them is the other one that I said was in the north. But what's the third? All right, one more time to the journal. Gale Rocks is the fishing village. Old Pagos. As long as you don't mock their order and act nice, they'll be kind. And then I don't know. Oh, Creeks. The other one is Creeks. Okay. I searched the area. The thicket doesn't help. You notice the remains of berries and pears, but most of them are already rotting, spread close to the wooden stools at the side of the road. The nearby creek is not impressively deep, But the beaver dam, for some reason taller than you are, makes it wide and waters the surrounding soil. A few steps away from the southern signpost, you find something sticking out of a shrub. It's a moist plank covered by fungi. You try to move it with a stick in a gloved hand. After a minute or so, you confirm it's an abandoned sign, covered with green letters and colorful pictures of flowers and trees. Steep House, you read with difficulty. Was Howler's Dell once called something else? It's near the southern signpost? Yeah. I'll try to find out where did this old sign used to be attached. Okay, I mean, that makes sense. Search the area some more. Time is passing. Okay, I'm pretty sure there's nothing more here to be found. Steep House. That's interesting. 2:45. Let's go ahead and travel west once. We'll keep an eye on how hard it's going to be to get back to Howler's Dell. If we can just stay at White Marshes, that would be fine. But you cross a clean, shallow yet wide creek that runs south, then follow the uphill path squeezed between the hills and the lush forest. You spend a good couple of minutes passing a haunting meadow, not a haunted meadow, which is how I first wanted to read that, filled with dozens, maybe 100 cut-down trees, now overgrown by bushes and grass. You can't think of another time when you've seen a clearing of such a size. My brain wanting to autocomplete haunted here probably tells you a lot about the kind of fiction I do read, for the most part. So, just a great big meadow. Somebody's cut down a ton of trees in this meadow. The locals are surely ambitious. I wonder how far they can push it. Once the clearing ends and turns into a corridor of trees and hills, you stop your horse. There's a monster in the middle of the road, reaching out with its long arms to grab and devour fruits and leaves from tree crowns, chewing them without haste. It's standing on its hind legs and leaning on a thick tail. As there isn't much hair on its gray skin, you can see its impressive muscles. The beast is 3 times the size of a human, and while each move it makes is slow, its long claws and the ease with which it breaks one of the branches make you think that a single swing would be enough for it to pierce through your jacket, or, just as likely, that it would simply break your bones and send you into the air. Like most people, you know quite a bit about pebblers. Once they get used to an unfenced farm or forest garden, getting rid of them can be a huge issue. There aren't many blades able to cut through their thick skin and bones, and a single mistake may put them into a furious charge, encouraging them to look for human dwellings they can tear down in revenge. The beast doesn't give you as much as a glance, but also doesn't move away. The best you can hope for is that it's going to walk away on its own. Maybe tomorrow, maybe later. Yeah, facing it in a fight would end badly. Let's step back. 2:30. I mean, it sure seems difficult to get to the west from here. Let's head a little bit north. Some parts of the road lead uphill, some downhill. The forests are lush, but not too dark. The few foraging deer and boars keep their distance, and the birds are disinterested in your presence, singing cheerfully and preening their feathers. Sounds of an ongoing hunt reach you from the east, but none of the nearby creatures seem bothered. Once you get farther north, the colorful meadow reveals tall hills on the other side of the stream, but the road leads through a valley. There's a gentle plume of smoke coming from one of the mountains in the west. It doesn't look like a place on fire. Maybe there's a settlement in those mountains. The road leads to a gentle creek filled with the buzzing of flies, mosquitoes, and gnats. You don't spot any critters among the tall meadows, tree branches, or rocky slopes. Seeing the shapeless dark vortex of wings, Agro snorts. You're currently on the southern bank. So if I had access to an alchemy table, I could make a protective ointment. I do not love the ambiance of this area. I think that sound's coming through quietly enough in the audio mix that y'all may not be able to hear it, but it's got the hair on my arm standing on edge. One of the I have like a deep primal fear of like stingy, bitey insects, and even this is enough to kind of get me going a little bit. Let's take a moment here to just look around for a different route. The path is barely squeezed between the hills, with no signs of settlements or game trails, and the grass is too tall and dense to allow you to ride safely through the wilderness. You won't reach the other bank without entering the swarm. All right, let's go back. Oh, sorry, I have to pick a thing here. I do not want to do any of these things. I want to turn around. Can I just click back even though... No, interesting. Hold on. Why can I not just decide not to go forward? If you burn the right things, a torch could certainly drive them back. Wrapping myself up with every piece of clothing I own might help. It certainly won't help aggro, though. Horses got thick hide, though. The thing is, I don't have, it will take some time, right? I really want to just turn around. It bums me out that I apparently do not have the ability in this moment to just go, okay, so I don't cross. I guess we'll try the torch thing. You move away from the creek, get on your feet, and unpack the tinderbox, the wooden stave, and the set of rags, as well as the oil. After you assemble a torch, you sit down on the ground, preparing the flint and the linen charcloth. Decades ago, before the southern invasion, people used fire strikers made of thick steel, but all you have is a cube-like piece of harsh pyrite. It's not ideal, but good enough for a couple of sparks. Holding the fire, you get back in the saddle. You swing your weapon left and right. There isn't as much smoke as you expected. That's a shame. I guess let's put it to the test. Once you get closer to the ford, countless creatures beset you, filling your eyes, mouth, and nose, hitting you like a squishy, buzzing hail. You ride forward blindly, instantly forgetting about your preparations, trying to get out of here as fast as you can. But the insects are sticking with you for much longer than the smoke. It takes a few minutes for you to escape. The red marks on your skin begin to burn. You get down to put out the torch by rubbing it against the beaten track. Aggro swishes its tail angrily as it gives you a reproachful look, pinning its ears back to its head. Yeah, that was bad. Unless you find an easier way to protect yourself, the insects will keep slowing you down. Okay. Can't get here before nightfall anymore because of that. Maybe there was something I needed to be doing that I wasn't doing. I'm really baffled by the fact that I couldn't just look at that condition and go, okay, yeah, I should not do this tonight, and turn around. Because that was my plan, was to just ride until we found something that we couldn't deal with tonight, and then turn around and go back to Howler's Dell for rest. I guess we're on the other side of the stream now. For most of the time, you're surrounded by yellow meadows. The trees on your left get sparser, while the few lonely birches on your right still bear the signs of tapping, marked with knife cuts tied with cords. Some of them still carry wooden vessels, as if they were simply abandoned, maybe last spring, maybe before that. A few of the trees are already dried out, and the winds manage to knock them down. As you get closer to the crossroads, the ground gets muddy. The beaten path avoids the wetlands as much as it can. The screeches and hisses mix with the buzzing of insects, and as you reach a small pond, there are signs of blood on its bank. The air is moist and heavy, and has a hint of rotting meat to it. Okay, better to avoid the bogs when nighttime approaches. Such places rarely have fine roads. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, local creatures start their hunt up to an hour earlier than in the forest. Cool. The trees and bushes are sparse here, growing from the barren grassland. Some of them bear late summer fruits. A group of wayfarers is spread around the broken signposts and the abandoned cart. They're skinny but healthy, and are standing upright. They're wearing humble, dim gambesons on top of their hemp tunics and pants, all of them worn, in some cases undyed, while others are dark green or brown. 4 of these individuals wear cloaks, carry lit lanterns, and are armed with spears, bows, and stone maces. Okay. Do not like that buzzing sound directly in my ear. That's very upsetting to me. On their necks, wrists, and belts, you spot small talismans. Fangs, bones, wooden beads, and leather straps. There's also the 5th figure, standing a bit in the back, with lowered shoulders. Unlike the others, they're hooded, and in such a manner that you doubt they can see anything other than their boots. Their clothes are shabby and torn, but your eyes mostly run to their club, a bow as long as its owner is tall and as thick as a leg, resting with one end on the ground. You get closer, and the person raises the weapon with just one arm, but another traveler gestures for them to stop, and they do so right away, freezing in place. Interesting. So... do I think this is their cart? It says abandoned cart, not like broken down. I definitely stay in the saddle. The man behind the gesture doesn't approach you, just nods. The bogs aren't safe for us, but even less a stranger. It's evenfall, and far from roofs. You better keep moving. You'll find an inn soon. You try to digest his thick accent. He's broad-shouldered, with a large belly, but the scars on his face sculpt an image of someone who's earned their share of food with many skirmishes. He doesn't reach for his weapon, and pushes one of his companions closer to the cart. She kneels by an empty box and looks inside it. The man observes you with little curiosity, holding his lantern high in the air. Okay. I worry that approaching these people in a friendly way could be misread in the sense that, like, if I had some intent to take advantage, is that not exactly what I would do? I would, like, be intentionally disarming. But I mean, if I'm not going to approach friendly and just be like, "Hey, listen, you got nothing to worry about from me," then what am I doing? Playful is probably going to read mean in this situation. I mean, again, unless it's not their cart in the first place. We can just play it cool until we have a better sense of exactly what's going on here. I feel like this is our character's move a lot of the time. I'm gonna try friendly here, even though I am a little bit worried about them taking it the wrong way. I nod at their cart. You need any help? He makes an annoyed grimace. Not really. This timber sickening, moldy and wet. We're checking on the place, but seems it's a bad year for it. He looks at his companions, who simply shrug and spread to take a look at the cart. All but the one with the bow, who doesn't move an inch. I cannot say I have time to loaf. If you have questions, ask, but be quick. Don't put us to sleep. Yeah, I look at the hooded person. What's up with this one? He smiles, but you notice that the others keenly observe you. Sorry. Nothing is up. They're keeping us safe. Yeah, that's an impressive club there. One of the men, now turning over a moldy plank with his boot, giggles. That's one way to put it. Their pneuma's strong. Y'all from around here? Very much so. And you're new to these roads. You know our home? No clue, actually. I see no reason to be like... If I try to play, like, coy, it's not going to be very hard for them to catch me in the lie, right? I may as well be honest. White Marshes, it's there. He looks at the crossroad leading east. An old place, plenty of stories there, but they rarely reach the ears of strangers, especially these days. Yeah, how can I reach White Marshes? It's not so hard if you have bones or food with you. Ride down the road, turn left, and take a gift to Thyrsus, the warden of our peat fields. He'll open the creepers for you. Seeing your look, he carries on. They're on the right path, one that'll take you to the village. Okay. Anything dangerous between here and there? Water hides saurians. Don't let your horse drink. Just stay on the road all the time. One of the women chips in. And don't follow voices or lights. Weird beasts lure humans into death. And don't touch the creepers. He then stretches out and gets closer to the signpost, using his spear as a walking stick. Well, stay safe, stranger. He raises his voice and addresses his companions. We wasted too much time on Sfroth. Time to get back. As the others prepare their own weapons and join their guide, the one with the bow stays silent until a gentle gesture commands them to follow. They keep up with the rest of the group, dragging the club behind themselves with remarkable strength. Okay. Time to get back. I feel like we could just walk with them, right? Am I not allowed to just walk with them? It is too late to explore an unfamiliar area. I'm not going to get back here before nightfall. But I do need to get back there, I think. I could have still just turned around like right after we crossed the stream, but I figured since we were across it once. I wonder if it's going to be... We're going to learn some things about traveling in the dark, which was probably going to end up happening eventually. I'm going to try to get back to Howler's Dell. Let's see what happens. Okay, I'm just not allowed to travel to places I can't get to before nightfall, which is to say, I can't go anywhere, and I must rest here. It's too dangerous to stay here. You can't sleep here. You can find the closest shelter in Howler's Dell, but the creatures of the night are surely going to attack you. Well, there's nothing else to be done. You ride through the open gate, then carefully dismount. A short-tempered hunter tries to explain to his parents that there are no bears where he's going. A man is showing a teenage girl how to chop firewood with a bone axe, and I head quickly to the main square. You approach the inn. It's getting darker, but not much colder. More than a dozen locals are gathered at or by the tables, playing dice or other games, drinking, eating supper, or simply chatting. That's interesting, because it is the middle of the night. The innkeeper is standing behind his counter, filling mugs with beer or buttermilk, while his daughter is cleaning the tables with a wet cloth and carrying around a bucket of stream water. Theus is nowhere to be seen. I'm just going to approach our man here. My dude, I have had a brutal day. I need a bath and a dinner and just everything. I just need everything. You don't keep track of time, easing your soul with warm water and whiffs of oil. You are served fried breaded mushrooms with gravy, a slice of bread with butter and cheese, and chamomile tisane while the youngsters watch your clothes in the stream. Wow, that really did not... I mean, we're clean. My clothes are still all fucked up. Alright. Yeah, thank you. And then... This is the real benefit of sleeping in a room, but I'm not sure that we would actually get all of that because our clothes are already clean, right? I seem exhausted. My clothes are all fucked up. But this isn't going to fix any of that. I'm just going to be... The thing is, I really need to gain vitality. Let's see if we actually regain this. My suspicion is the fact that our clothes are in such torn up shape means we won't be able to actually regain all that much appearance until we have them mended by a tailor. But let's see. Maybe I'm wrong. This will be good to check. Like most people, you wake in the middle of almost every night. Before your second sleep comes, you spend an hour or two taking care of your belongings, shell, and soul. Some people spend this time with their friends, families, or lovers, but your routine is different. If you don't have to take care of essential tasks, you do something else. This is a really interesting bit of world building. I could check in on aggro, I could pray. Stretch my muscles and work out a bit, maybe giving me back a little bit of vitality. We have reason to believe that aggro's already being taken care of while we're in Howler's Dell, right? We sort of like made a deal on that front. I want to say this is either 1 or 4. From a pure character standpoint, I'm thinking pray and think about my dreams. If there's any chance this could gain us a point of vitality, I think we have to take it. Because, like, holy hell, we're in bad shape. On the verge of death. It's affecting your appearance. Let's stretch my muscles and work out a bit. Okay, so yeah, the amount of appearance we gained was limited. You spend the night in peace in a clean bed with a tightly shut window and a warm blanket. In the morning, you find a stool placed by your bed. Yeah, delicious food. Young boy is covered in mud and speaks unusually loud, mentions that Agra's already been brushed and watered. Okay. I don't need the trader. What I need is the tailor. Hey, Mike Gambison could use some work. Not really, right? It's what I need is my clothes need to be replaced, I guess. It's weird that the tailor doesn't have the option to do that. You take it off and point at a few abrasions. The woman follows your finger patiently. I take from 2 to 5 dragon rings for fixing jackets, but you'll never get anything more from this one. To get it truly strong for longer, it'd need to be made of better materials, like spider silk. Tell me more about this spider silk. 'Tis a silk made by spiders. I meet her eyes. She's the first one to break the silence. The large ones. They use it to spin webs. It's stronger than thread. But my neighbors didn't walk to the woods no more. It's just getting harder and harder to get any silk. Alright. So, okay, this is what I want is just outfit repairs. Yeah, I mean, it's something. Find your own silk to get a better price. That's definitely interesting. Okay. Appearance 3. Vitality is not looking so good. We're broke. So I was desperately trying to refill everything all at once. Sorry. Leave the square. I need to travel. You leave the wetlands behind. The pebbled road runs through the hillside with tall grasses and rock faces above you, and dark, lush forests below. Chunks of this path were shaped by human tools, who knows how many centuries ago. To widen it, the builders dug through the uneven boulders and used rocks and logs to fill up the cavities with thousands of rocks, each one smaller than your fist. While you have a good view of what's happening between the trees on your right, the bushes and shrubs grow so densely between them that you can't imagine entering these woods on your own. Farther south, there are plumes of smoke. A settlement, most likely. At the top of the hill, you reach a stone wall, a quiet place with no smoke coming from behind it. You look inside and see the glimpse of a peaceful ruin. While the main road is beaten and easy for hooves to trod, the destroyed gate and the remains of the front yard have almost been reclaimed by the short grasses. You seek any suspicious movement, but the place seems to be free of inhabitants larger than a falcon. The air is fresh, and the wind shakes the tree crowns gently. Let's enter the yard here. The hamlet could be a hunter's shelter, a military outpost, or a storehouse for traders, but you spot no fresh human trails. The damaged door and gate are years old, soggy and moldy, and judging by the squirrels, birds, and the animal feces you see in the grass, this place is but a part of the wilderness. The roof collapsed only a few years back, turning into food for mushrooms. The outer wall looks generations old, but it used to be maintained. Some of its materials came from different times and areas. Let's look around back here. The chaos sparks right after you approach the tree stump. The dusk fox's growls sound like a mix of an obnoxious bird and an infant. One of the animals, standing only a few feet away from you, is jumping and showcasing its tiny sharp teeth and a raccoon-like black mask on its little head. The animal, with its thick brownish-gray fur, seems more stout than any red fox. The second loud creature jumps onto a table made of a halved trunk. Unlike the first one, it has brighter golden fur. It bends one of its forelegs, observing you with its dark eyes, not furious nor scared, rather sad and protective. Its growl turns into a miserable whine, Well, now that's interesting. The beasts are not even waist high, but their number may be an issue. There's yet another sound coming from behind you, and even more from the bushes nearby. And the thing is, I maybe know a thing or two about these foxes. I have enough time to judge the situation clearly, I've decided. You take a quick glance and memorize your surroundings. There's 3 large creatures in your proximity. The third one is right behind you, and while loud, it's lumbering on its paws. The noises from the bushes belong to little pups, most likely harmless, though they're doing their best to imitate their guardians. Your sharp senses allow you to react right away. Well, since the one behind me is weaker than the others, this makes sense to me, I think. So to go for the one that's weakest, open up an avenue so that I'm not surrounded, and then decide what to do with the others. It may be the case that if I'm not surrounded, they feel they don't have enough of an advantage to even continue threatening me. You pass the weaker fox and run toward your belongings, encouraging the beasts to chase you all the way to the gate as they growl with determination. For now, they stay in the shelter, filled with pride. You and Agro take a few steps away. So, I mean, I don't have any particular reason to be here, right? Not at the moment. I don't know anything about this place that would suggest it is of incredible import to me. So, I don't know. It doesn't seem like they're all that interested in doing harm to people who don't, like, wander all the way into their area. This is their place. I'm just gonna leave. Are you sure you want to leave this place to its fate? What an interesting question. Okay, you know what? I think that is our character's instinct. Is to go, you know what? It's their spot now. They have as much right to it as a person would, and to just leave. But doing that, thinking that thing and then climbing into the saddle, we have the momentary twinge of, oh right, except I need to loot this place. If there's anything valuable left here, or indeed if I can make some money off of these foxes' hides or something, like, we need money badly. Actually, maybe I'd best get rid of these creatures. You search your bundles. I don't have a potion that could help here. My axe could be enough. I'm not feeling up to combat, if I'm honest. I'm having second thoughts about this. The way this is worded, leave this place to its fate, makes me wonder if this is the only time I will ever have to intervene here. But I just don't think I'm in a position to fight these things. What does my healing potion do? I'm not allowed to use my inventory right now. I'm assuming that this would restore vitality. But if it would restore vitality, I assume I'd be able to use it. Right, like on this screen where it says I don't have a potion that could help me here. If the healing potion was a solution to a problem, then I would imagine I'd be able to use it right now. Actually, what do I have? I have 1 coin left, a couple days food if I need to not stop in town. I wonder. My question is sort of like, am I in a desperate enough situation that I need to go for something risky here? I think the answer is no. I'm gonna go ahead and ride off. Get in the saddle and ride away. The dusk foxes observe you as you climb up the saddle. They're growling and walking in circles. One of the pups knocks down their sibling, starting a playful fight. Alright, they clearly feel like I'm not a threat anymore. What did the, this time I actually do want the archive. Nope, doesn't go back far enough. Then Journal. Did we take note of the instructions in White Marshes? We did not. I wanted to just double check what it was that he said to do. But I guess... Yeah, alright. Doesn't seem all that important. You've squeezed between the hills and the forests. The only larger beast you spot is a single saurian basking on a boulder, lazily observing you from a safe distance. Your ears catch the howls coming from the north, long and loud, and as you keep an eye on the rock ledges, you almost miss the drastic shift in the landscape. The forest turns into a lake, and the few plants growing next to the road mostly bear fruit. The road is not as reliable here as it was in the hills. Parts of it are a bit muddy, and the puddles disturb your ride. Maybe the locals will maintain it before it gets swallowed by the lake. Yeah, I don't know, maybe. The deep, loud yells of howlers are piercing your ears, concealing any other sound in the area. They're sitting on branches and in the tall grass, not really trying to hide. Their thick black and gold furs cover their entire shells, aside from the charcoal black faces with roundish flat noses and wide nostrils. The younger members of the pack are about the size of your mount's head, but the larger ones would be chest high if it wasn't for the fact that they walk on all fours. Their long tails are like an additional arm, helping them climb, hang from branches, or hold food while they eat. They aren't particularly muscular, but when they form their pink lips into the shape of a cup to release their howls, their mouths are so wide they could fit your entire arm inside. As you listen to the shouts, you reach for your head. You feel a weird itch, but somehow you can't scratch it. Okay, well that's concerning. Keeping my distance, I take a look at the hide behind the boulder. I don't see any indication of what it's talking about. Sometimes it does that where like there will be a textual reference in your options that does not it does not have an antecedent in the actual text. The whitish rawhide covers the grass like a blanket, surrounded by paw prints. The howlers don't wait for you to approach it. One of the larger ones jumps on the ground, leaning on its hands and challenging you with its gaze. It has rather blunt teeth. Do I think I could scare these howlers away? The thing is, if this is valuable, I need to take it. Pretty feeling strongly about that. I'm going to try to just grab it and run, and there maybe... It would be better to scare them away if I can do it. It's just a matter of whether or not I think I can manage that. I'm not that intimidating right now. Your barely standing is rough, because I don't know how this is going to affect my ability to flee. It totally might, right? The travel option is lit up. We could just keep riding. Maybe it's best we just keep riding. The lakeside is filled with the chirping of cicadas and crickets, as well as the roaring of beasts from the northern hills. Farther down the road, you see tall yellow grasses interwoven with flowers and bumblebees, while the peaceful water shines just as much as the wings of dragonflies. This road is often traveled, and the clatter of hooves carries far. Thanks to the vast field of view, the creatures hiding in the meadows are unlikely to jump an animal as large as Agro. In the distance, you see a palisade and a large building set on the side of a crossroad. Once you get closer, you hear a conversation from behind the wall. Two men are arguing about if they really just heard a horse. Well, maybe they know something. Agro carries you toward the open gate on its own, welcoming an opportunity to rest by pushing out the air loudly through its nostrils. A nearby wooden pen wouldn't offer much space for a horse, but should be enough for grazing and a nap. As you dismount, two men get up from the front stairs. Their clean-shaven faces reveal they're in their early 20s. The first one is taller than you, broad-shouldered, and wears light brown pants and a darker jacket, both of them made of leather. With an inviting smile, he gets up and moves to open the enclosure. His steps are heavy and slow, but every movement is marked with care, ensuring he won't knock down anything or anyone. That's an odd... I feel like most people are trying pretty hard not to knock anybody else over. The second man looks as different from his colleague as the sun from the moon. He's unusually short and wears a heavy cloak made of black fur, so large it could cover his entire shell. He opens the door of the building, hides his hand, and peeks into the room. "Foggy!" His voice is shrill and unconcerned. "A messenger, come!" I take off some of my bundles and let my horse rest. A hanging barrel sways in the wind, marking the place as an inn or tavern. The building resembles a merchant's house from Hovlevan, whitewashed and with oiled, elegant wooden beams. The fragile walls are high enough to avoid floods and snow, but you have no doubt that a troll or even a pebbler could easily break through them. The palisade is short, has hardly any support, and has no walkway for crossbowmen. Hardly enough even for a makeshift hamlet. Yet it's the open harbor that makes you uneasy. Aside from the fish, any creature, aquatic or not, could just walk into the yard undisturbed. The path is covered with paw prints and claw marks. Curious. I mean, I guess this either this is just like a very low animal traffic area, or something else is going on, right? Better not leave Agra outside during the night anyway. A black and white bird swoops into the water, then flaps its wings and takes off with a silver twitching creature in its talons. The large man clears his throat. "And what have we here? Coming from afar, friend? Are there now horses in Howlers?" His voice is stentorian, close to a shout. You vaguely recognize his accent as one found at the city harbor. I feel like he's coming at us pretty friendly. I am going to try to match his demeanor here. "Oh, quite far, kind soul. Agro came with me from Hovlevan." He nods appreciatively. "A weird beast, aye? A donkey that can kill a man." You notice he keeps quite a distance from it and holds his hand close to his throwing club. "I haven't seen one in a while. The roads here aren't that bad. They'll take you north and east with ease." You hear heavy footsteps. A woman shows up in the doorway and looks at you from the top of the stairs. She's even more towering and stout than her son, the man who just welcomed you with a massive chest and a pear-shaped face with a prominent chin. Her movements are composed and confident. She may be older than 50, with a mixture of gray and dark blonde hair. So we think of 5 feet as a pretty average height for a soul, right? So it may be the case that towering here doesn't quite mean what it would mean to you or I. She has only one arm, the left one, notably muscular, and with a hand so large it could likely chop off Agro's head with a single strike, or crush yours like a berry. Through the slit of her robe, made of creamy worn fur, you spot her trunk-like legs. She runs her eyes over your blade, armor, and mount. Her lips form into something of a smile, distorted by the scar that runs through her mouth. The tall guy does look a lot like her. The tall man spreads his arms, forming a chain between you and his mother. "Meet Foggy, friend. Ma, the riders come to us from Hovlevan. Just look at this horse." His powerful voice turns timid, and he keeps turning his head from left to right and back. "Too bad we have no hay. It looks hungry." The woman looks at him with amusement, then glances at your palfrey. "Aye, a cute monster you've brought, but not enough fat on it. If it ever breaks a leg, bring it here. We'll smoke it for winter." She vaguely stretches out her only hand. "What brings you to Foggy Lake, love? Just stopping by?" Her voice is hoarse, like that of a traveler who spent too many autumn nights in cold tents, yet carries a hint of motherly concern. I close the animal pen behind me and head toward the stairs. I mean, these people seem friendly enough. "You won't find another shelter in this part of the Dragonwoods, especially not in creeks." She scratches her broad chin with sausage-like fingers. "You drink?" I shake my head gently. "I don't, but go ahead, I'll accompany you." She scoffs with a kind smile. I don't plan to get drunk either, but it's your choice. Come, dear, share a story with me. I may have a snack to spare. Without waiting for your response, she walks inside. The tall man takes a deep breath. Go ahead, we'll take care of your horse, he encourages you with a gesture. And by that he means we won't do anything with it, adds the man in black fur. Whenever his screechy words follow the deep voices of his companions, he sounds like a brat. We won't be feeding or washing beasts that aren't going in a stew, but we'll keep an eye on it. They find new spots to rest, the side of a boat and a stool near the palisade. And without another word, I go up the stairs. The narrow segmented window shutters let in a lot of light without letting the beasts inside. The air is humid, but carries not a hint of putridity. The heels of Foggy's boots make her steps thunder even though the planks don't creak. Make yourself at home, she says without looking at you, heading to the trapdoor in the corner. I'll just grab a little something. Your ears catch the screeches of hunting birds and the wind that leaks in through the windows. But other than that, the room is quiet. Huh. I mean, I am going to look around. Of course I'm going to look around. So there's a trapdoor in the corner, which is where she's gone. They have a cellar. Where is the ladder leads? There's a ladder that leads up to a second floor where it looks like they have hides or something. You climb up the simple rope ladder and reach the attic. It smells like a haystack. The floor is covered with animal furs, bags, and clothes. There's a soul sitting in a corner, a bearded man in his 20s, who has only the right hand, though unlike the tavern keeper, he has kept the rest of his arm. His sleepy eyes observe you without a word. After he greets you with a nod, he starts to put on his boots. Interesting. I investigate the main hall. The room is crammed with stuff. The bear pelt on the ground would be a nice resting spot, but the place doesn't look like a real home. No chests, no cabinets for clothes, no toys or tools no toys or tools for simple crafts that would fill the time during rainy evenings. Living with so many windows in winter would be a struggle. One could clear this place in one morning and move all that's worth saving into a single wagon. The only things of exceptional value are the cauldron, made of pricey steel, and the hanging head of an insect-like monster. Its mandibles don't move, the dim eyes seem intact, and its armored head tells a long story of survival through scratches and cuts. I don't think I'm gonna poke my head in and watch her in the basement. That feels like the sort of thing a person might consider rude. I'm just gonna sit down and wait. You take a glance at the blood on the table, the scattered yellow feathers, and a bowl of guts and talons. You find yourself a clean stool. Foggy shows up soon, smiling, holding a plate with fruits and a cup squeezed among them, a bottle in her fingers, and a cloth under her shoulder. She puts everything on a stool and wipes the table clean. Forgive the mess, just a part of the job, she explains without hint of apology. I'd rather dress birds in the yard, but the blood lures beasts. Sometimes the folk from creeks bring us meals, but we need to take care of ourselves. She throws the bloody cloth back into the bucket, making a splash, then sits down on a stool, making it look like it was made for a doll. She rests her elbow on the table and looks you in the eyes. Her voice is warm, yet intrusive. So, who am I dealing with? And I introduce myself. The bottle removes its seal seemingly by itself. The wax floats in the air briefly, then lands on the table gently. Without a word, she pours a thick liquid into the cup with her only hand, but doesn't offer you any snacks just yet. Interesting. I think we should lead with the concern about Asterion. I think this helps to position us in people's minds. She looks at you for a longer moment, without the slightest movement. And why do you think he's here? Well, I'm not saying that I do, but maybe you know where I can find him? I misunderstood you. She shakes her head and leans on the table. I don't know his whereabouts. He didn't tell me a thing more than I needed to hear. And when was the last time you saw him? She glances at a window. Same as the others in the late days of spring. We were waiting for his return, me and all the villages, then moved on. I've no idea where he went. All of the villages, you say? She turns toward you with the fierceness of a bear. That's what I said. And did he do any jobs for you? She presses her tongue against her cheek and lips. Hold on just a moment here. Well, I'm not sure. He was bringing me news, or delivering my messages. Sold me some stuff, sometimes bought a thing or two. His life wasn't really that riveting. Just another mug guzzler sitting in the corner patching his clothes. Huh. Did he ever sell you anything unusual? She stares at you without blinking. Such as what? Something that hints to where he went. I'm going to keep positioning myself as though my primary concern is like this detective work in the hope that she will not regard any questions as suspicious that way. She frowns. I'll tell you if I think of anything. And what can you tell me about him? She rests her only hand across her stomach, which you identify as her version of crossing her arms. A customer and an errand runner. What's there to say? Your additional questions don't get many more answers. She brings up the man's looks and equipment without adding much to what you've already learned from Tulia. He was paying with dragons, rarely bartered, she adds. That's what city folk do, seeking riches, then locking themselves in a chamber, prisoners of their might. Well, I'm not going to do this one. She's clearly judgmental. Do I want to... So obviously, like, this is the... Excuse me. This is the appeasing answer. I could see her maybe taking this as mockery, like I'm just buttering her up, which is absolutely what I would be doing if I chose this, right? I think this is a little bit more honest for us, and I'm wondering if honest is the way to go here. I'm going to try saying the thing that butters her up and seeing if she calls us out on it. And if not, flattery may just be the way through this situation. I smile. Well said. Her chuckle makes you think of a wolf's growl. A wolf's growl. One wolf's growl. You don't sound especially bothered by his disappearance. You see me as someone eager to make friends with a vagabond? I'll take it as a compliment to my skills as a tavern keep. Folks come and go. Their faces disappear. Friends die in my arms. She pauses. Families fade away. There was a different Roadwarden years ago, and there's another one now. But there's only one Foggy in the north, and one Elan, that slow son of mine, and one Creeks. I have only so many tears to spare. Okay, I guess that's a very pragmatic way of looking at it. We'll return to this later. Maybe. Once our souls are too restless to stay quiet. But now, go ahead, have a snack. The flesh of the pear is still white. The carrot is firm and crisp. The plums can't be from here. The place lacks a stove, so they were brought from another settlement. They have a smoky aroma of burnt hazel twigs, smelling like winter food. Such snacks would be fitting even on the plates in the Merchant Guild. Foggy leans forward with an elbow resting on the table. Well, for me it's a lazy day. At least the rains spare us, so nicely holding off till the evenings. Yeah, what brought you north? You don't look like someone who spends their life cleaning tables. Once you burn enough dead friends and relatives, clean tables start to look plenty tempting. She leans forward and takes another look at her bottle, sealing it with an approving nod. My ma and pa were both big and strong. One time they saw me sitting on this kid, twisting his arm, so they started to teach me. Staff duels, running, lifting barrels and rocks. Thankfully, the army chieftain said I wasn't disciplined enough. She rubs the scars on her forehead. So I did a lot of things. Escorted some merchants, joined a group of adventurers, hunted for bounties, guarded a village temple. The last memory makes her voice gloomy. Not all of these things make me proud of myself. She smells the mead in her cup, but doesn't take a sip. I moved here only after I lost my arm, when the folks were fleeing the invasion. I took my elan, a casket of dragons, and joined a more organized group. Arm or not, I still have a fierce punch. She lets out a pleased grunt. I was worth keeping around. Her voice can't hide that she's delighted to carry on with her tale. Now that the years are catching up with me, and even more so with my back, I need to build myself a decent shelter. I crave no adventurers, but I'm happy to hear stories from other restless souls. In the meantime, I'll practice this little trick. She points at the cauldron in the middle of the room and starts to make circles with her finger. The ladle mimics the movement, mixing the stew for another minute or two. That's also good for my back. Yeah, I guess it would be. So, she would like to hear stories of adventure, which we probably don't have right this moment. I feel like she kind of just told us what the story is behind this place. I don't know that. I guess there are specifics that we are not yet privy to. I want to ask about her arm, but I just feel like she'd probably be okay talking about it, right? Like, given the tone of that story, how casually she was just like, arm or not, probably. Let's do this. So, you can move things with your thoughts. That's interesting. She chuckles. Why? Can't you? I smile. Now that's a mystery. She chuckles. I thought she had like a little playfulness, maybe. She chuckles. Let's hope you won't need to use it on your journeys, or that winter will never come, or that wolves will cuddle with mouflons. So, what's going to happen next? You going to build a real wall around this place? Why not? Then grow my connections in the villages, buy more hard drinks, build another shed, a cabin even, and hire a private warden for these roads, for my guests. She sips from her cup, looking at you. But it's all in the distant future. We at Creeks need to take care of the eastern route cleared for the traders. Without trade, all I have is the locals, and they don't even use dragon bones. But why do you care, dear? You plan to stay around? Well, I hope to stay on the road, visit other parts of the Dragonwoods. Is that so? All the tales I've heard make me glad I now have a place of my own. The trails grow green and thorny, the villages turn empty, the cities lose their reach. She leans forward and stares into your eyes. If that's really your plan, it won't end well for you. What will you do without roads? Yeah, it's not ideal. Say, you seem to be into some expensive drinks. The pricey ones are gifts I received, or treasures I found when I was young. I also bought a few. I like to offer something unusual to the wealthier, or more promising, guests. She tilts her cup and grabs a purple carrot from the snack plate. I dabbled with some recipes myself. I have plenty of brewing tools, though I can name maybe half of them. Still, from ales to hard drinks, I had some successes. Alright, we didn't jump right to it. I do feel like it's more polite now that we've waited a little bit. I'm gonna probe. So, any story there? She leans back, moving her shoulders and chest up and down as if she's having a soundless chuckle. Not one I'm going to share with a newcomer, dear. Stay alive till next autumn. I'll open a cask of cold cider and tell you quite a tale. It has treason, treasure, monsters, and dark spells. But I'm way too sober for it now. She grabs her cup. Her wink turns into an awkward blink. Huh. I mean, I guess let's ask for specifics. So, what's the story behind this place, then? Can't be more than a few years old. It's our third summer under the roof of Foggy Lake, but the palisade is older. Used to be a camping spot for the bird catchers from creeks, and there are fish here that don't swim in our streams. When we were but newcomers in the north, these lands were hard to bend, but the beasts got used to us with time. A melancholy crawls into her eyes. As she observes the mead in her cup, you reach for a snack. Every year or so we added something new. Rocks for a campfire, some stools, a fence, a firewood shed, a boat. At one point, we bought the lumber from White Marshes and built a cabin, like the one at the Eastern Road. More folks started resting here, even traders from Gale Rocks and Old Pagos. A plenty fine spot for an inn, eh? Her smile is warm. I'm building my home from nothing, you could say, and not for the first time. How about you? Does any of it sound tempting? A place far away from Havlavon, somewhere I can rest after a day of work without aching back. This is probably true. My home is wherever I can find kind people. Also probably true. That's something I can ask myself after I've saved some dragon bones. She's not going to like this, though. I think that that interaction we had earlier suggests that she will not look kindly on acquire a bunch of financial power and then figure out a plan. I don't know that I actually want to live in Havlavon. We first started going there because we were looking for work, right? So, yeah. You speak my own words, love, my own words. We have a good home here in the north. Not a safe one, not a fun one, but there's plenty of food and plenty of things to build. I'm already luckier than most. She looks at the place where her missing arm used to be. So, okay, how do you stay safe from the beasts? You're completely open to the lake. Quick legs, love. Her brief yet thunderous laughter makes you flinch. We don't leave any food outside, but our cauldron smells. Every now and then something scary shows up. We lock ourselves in here, for days if we have to. Our windows help us keep an eye on the yard. Better that than leaving the hamlet to goblins. You mentioned that having no wall from the lakeside is quite a risk. She nods in agreement and reaches for a dried plum. We don't bring children and old folks around, but this part of the peninsula is not so bad, at least in sunlight. Not much food growing or running around, unless you can live on fish and birds. And the folks of Creek are great hunters, the greatest around. But isn't there a harbor in the city as well? How do you keep the creatures away? Well, Havlavon would not be a useful example. They mostly stay in the water waiting for trash or drunkards to fall off a bridge. Every now and then something large does show up between the boats or even enters the streets. People learn to run away and leave it to soldiers. So this is like, yeah, we do basically the thing you're doing, and it results in casualties, which is why this is not a great plan. I kind of like that, rather than just like, this, and this are all, it's not an analogous situation, so kind of doesn't matter. I'm going to say this one. Every now and then something large shows up between the boats, or even enters the streets. People learn to run away and leave it to the soldiers, but from time to time there are casualties. She asks you to tell her more, then taps her chin. Still safer than living in villages, I'd say. Every other season, a hunter or a farmer lands on a pyre or disappears into the fogs. But a place of this size should have a way to stay stronger. I lived in the capital before the invasion. Having things in such state would make folks revolt. Yeah. Any interesting beasts you hunt for? Oh, I hunt for nothing. She smirks. Not since I lost my arm. And the boys outside are not made for it either. They're no drive to fight, you see, and grew up to be wimps. They sometimes club down a hare, but we're all about foraging and bird traps now. The folks in creeks do the real hunting, she adds after a pause. Runners, mouflons, rats, sometimes a buffalo or a saurian. We have no soil for fields, so game meat's all we have left. She stretches out, getting even taller somehow. Do you hunt often? It does seem so far like I don't enjoy killing is the truth. Yeah, if I'm about to starve, I don't enjoy killing. Picked a rough trade for yourself then. I used to like it. Hunting, sure, but even more so crushing the undead. I even cut down a few bandits for good pay. But now, when my dumb ape of a son goes on a longer trip, my heart pounds like a hammer. She thuds her clenched fist against her chest. I couldn't go on like this. Bandits also have mothers, eh? Yeah, your name's Foggy, and this is Foggy Lake. Is the tavern named after you, or after the lake? Ah, the lake has no name. She moves her cup away and leans forward, resting her elbow on the table. Her voice is playful and warm. Yet, I mean. But there will be stories about this place, believe me, and about passing by the lake while getting to Foggy's. I may not be a dragon slayer or a holy woman, but one way or another, my soul will live on in my name, tied to these walls. She looks at you in silence, then bursts into laughter. You could swear she makes the jars shake. I'm plenty fine being vain. Well, I mean, we all want to be remembered, I think. My pa used to say memories of ours live in the blood of our children. But guess what? Kids die as well. All my brothers and sisters, gone. She pauses, but there's no sadness in her eyes. Stories have a better reach, aye? We can tell each other about strangers who lived centuries ago. There's magic in that. Yeah, let's change the topic. I must say, love, I rarely meet folks with that many questions. She gives you a warm look. What hides beneath them? Well, we all need friends, don't we? She rests her hand on her stomach. We do, but some of us need them more than others. I'd say it's better for me to have a peek into a Roadwarden's head. A good one could shake things up a fair bit. The bad ones, well, they die quickly. Yeah. Yeah, all right. Hey, could I take a look at your brewing set? I'm a bit of an alchemist. I didn't even notice that you had one. She frowns, but gestures for you to follow her. I don't touch anything. I've no toys here. She gasps as she squeezes through the trapdoor. Downstairs, she has to lower her head to avoid the beams beneath the ceiling. Okay, so this is something I would have seen if I had looked downstairs, but I'm still aware she has it because she talked about brewing. The humid scent of over a dozen wooden barrels is free of putridity. Your eyes run over the trophies, claws, bones, jaws, and tusks, gathered in piles, while the staffed heads of various creatures observe you with their fake eyes. Foggy lights a candle with the help of a tinderbox and leads you to a table in the furthest corner. The instruments, made of glass, gold, and copper, would allow you to brew even advanced potions. Bottles, scales, knives, alembics, mortars, a crucible. The jars on a shelf contain simple but useful ingredients. Ooh, I could put this table to good use, Foggy. Good, you know. Her voice is playful, but her face is covered with shadows. You could also set this place on fire, or spill my stuff, or break this glass thingy. She waves at one of the alembics and heads back to the stairs. Yeah, we'll see how trustworthy you are, dear. We'll see. She suddenly turns back and gives you a harsh look. Don't you think I'll give you my stuff for nothing? We're in the middle of nowhere. Ingredients are expensive. You brew, you pay. And if I don't like the way you walk around here, you pay more. The rule of the tavern. Okay, yes, we are for sure very invested in being friends with Foggy. That said, Foggy seems like pretty rad. I'm into being friendly here. I think this is maybe a good place to save it for the day. There's still more stuff to discover about Foggy and the inn. And someday, perhaps, we'll even figure out where the hell White Marshes is. But that's going to be it for us for today. Thank you all so much for watching. When you come back next time, we're going to see about maybe ingratiating ourselves with Foggy a little bit more in any way that we can manage. And hopefully not getting horribly eaten by the creatures of the night. And we'll see you then.